Let's now install a cheap Android stereo in this FJ Cruiser. I used to have a Sony stereo before in here, but I removed it because it sounded awful. The idea is to install this Android 10 stereo. It's one of the latest from China. No brand, no model, no support at all. I don't know who made them. But the idea is to keep the original functions of the old stereo and the steering wheel controls, backup camera, and we will gain some additional functions like GPS navigation with free maps, front camera here you say. Yes, this is important for me because I was once off-roading and I got to a very angled mountain, so I couldn't see what was in front of me, if a huge hole or some stones or something, a river, something like that. So a front camera can get me very useful in these situations. Also, we are going to have like applications like in a smartphone, a Bluetooth hands-free, streaming audio music, a bigger screen for the backup camera. We are not going to install that in this video, but I will focus more on the steering wheel controls. That functions is very requested for many people. There is an option to connect the stereo to the CAN bus of the car, the internal network, but we are not going to put that on this video, but we will investigate that option later. So now let's install this stereo and configure the steering wheel control. Let's get started. So I installed a Sony stereo in this car some time ago. I will leave you the link to the video here in the corner. It was awful. It sounded very bad, so I went back to the original OEM stereo, which sounded much better. So I got this new stereo from, I don't know, the brand is Android one. You will see a lot of these kind of stereos which has Windows CE or Android. But of course, because of the OS, it has different functions. Here is the manual for this stereo. Very useful for the connections, but the operation of the stereo, this manual is lacking a lot of the functions of the stereo, like changing the source and things like that. Here is the cable for the backup camera, a very long one. Here is the backup camera, 10 LEDs for night vision. This is the main harness. This harness is very standard, the colors and the arrangement of the cables, because I had seen like in Kingwoods and Power Acoustic and some other brands of stereos. Here is the audio and video inputs and outputs. Here you connect your auxiliary input for the FJ Cruiser has a jack for it. You can connect it in here. You can see here also has input for analog video, aux in, aux out. And also it has for rear screens. You can connect up to two screens in there. So I'm not going to use the auxiliary input. Besides that, you need to use the video too for that. So it came with this USB cable. This is the backup camera entry and also the Wi-Fi antenna. Another USB, the GPS antenna. Yet it has GPS. And here is the stereo. This is the mounting brackets for it. I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use the original brackets from the stereo. I believe these are used if you want to mount it into the dashboard, in the face of the plastic of the dashboard. There are the screws for it. And this is the main stereo. Here you have for the GPS antenna, the radio antenna, another bunch of harnesses. The main harness has, let me bring it back. Where is it? Okay, the main harness goes here, and it has the front and rear speaker. I didn't find any fader for the back speakers, but here's for the camera. To activate the camera, you plug it into the reverse light, and it will action the stereo to display the backup camera. It has the steering wheel controls also in here. Just two cables, key and key 2. Illumination for the stereo and all the standard stuff from any other stereo. Let me just plug it very quickly to this power supply, 12 volts. Black goes into the negative, and you join together the red one and the yellow one. Red one is for accessory. It has power only when you turn off accessory on, and the yellow one must be to a source that has 12 volts all the time, even if you turn off the power of the car. It takes some time to start up the first time because it's like a tablet. If you turn off all the way down the tablet, it will take some time to power up again. But once you have it just pressing sleep, it wakes up immediately. So it is the same with this stereo. Since you are just powering it up, it will take some time to display the main screen. And there you go. It is working. It is responding. This speedometer is like, for if you install the canvas, it will show you the speed of the car and so many other features depending on the application you install. Here's the Android store or Play Store. It's just like a tablet or phone, not that table. Pressing here, this is the configuration for the stereo. There is a configuration for the Android operating system and another for configuration for the car stereo. Here you can see Android 10.1. We have 1 gig of memory, 16 gigabytes of solid state storage. I don't know the password for here, but there must be in the manual. I will consult later and tell you what is the password for this screen. The home function, just like any other stereo. Let's open it up and see what's inside. It has four screws here in each of the corners. Maybe some of you have seen one of the previous video. I installed one of these stereos in a Sequoia. But this is a brand new, it's more modern, more advanced than the one in the Sequoia. You have to be very careful here because there are these flat cables. You can break if you are not careful when you lift this cover. The screen is capacitive touch, not resistive one. That means that you just touch it, not press it to select anything on the screen. Here you can see the chip for it. As you can see there, back in the main board, there is a big connection, maybe for a bigger screen, I don't know. I cannot take this part apart anymore because it is like sealed in the plastic. So I don't know what else. And sorry for the focus, I didn't notice until later. This is the brains of the stereo. As you can see, pretty simple. There is a tablet in there and also a 4 speakers amplifier. I don't know what that connector does. It wasn't connected to anything. Let me remove it. I will take it apart from the heat dissipator to see what is on the other side. Here's the main audio amplifier. It's a TDA 7388. In fact, it says GD, not TDA, but it's exactly the same. Maybe less quality, but the pin numbers are the same. You can interchange any of those. Let's keep searching, and there is the main processor. It's quad-core ARM Cortex-7 at 1.3 GHz. Supports USB 2.0. Also, right beside it is the RAM. Also a MediaTek branded chip. This is for cellular phones. It handles the SIM card functions, but this stereo doesn't have a SIM socket, so I don't know what function has in here. That 4C branded chip is a solid state storage, 16 gigabytes of that. Nothing else on standing right here. Let's see on the back. If you look close in here, it says CAM RX and CAM TX. I think this is for the CAN bus transmit and receive. CAN bus is a network used in car makers for communication between the components like the motor, the transmission, the compartment, things like that. And also can bring you a lot of interesting functions into the stereo, so you can see your full consumptions and the speed and other things on the RPMs and all the stuff in the stereo. Here is the big connector I told you about. I don't see any description of that. It could be for a bigger screen, I don't know. Going back to the cam function, I think I will try to make it work with this stereo in another video. So what will we need to install this stereo in this Toyota? First, the adapter. You can get it in Walmart or Best Buy for $7 to $50, depending on how much parts it has. One thing to note is that it does not come with the adapter for the steering wheel controls. It is this one, this in here. I will explain you how to connect it without using an external box later. Here is at your left the stereo harness. This big list in the middle is the description of each of the pins in the Toyota harness, and again could be for any Toyota. And at your right, you will see each of the pins in the car harness and how it should be connected or what it means. Start by connecting the black cable in the stereo harness to the pin number 7 of E41 harness. That's the ground or negative. Yellow to number 4, red to number 3. That's the accessory. Illumination or orange number 10. And we are going to skip the back because we are not going to implement the backup camera in here right now. White ones are number 2 and number 6. The first one is positive, the second one is negative. The right speaker on the front is number 1 and pin number 5 of the E41 connector. Moving to E44 connector, number 2 is for the rear left speaker. Number 6, the negative one. The purple ones are connected to pin number 1 and pin number 3, positive and negative again. And the antenna we will connect it to the number 9 in order to get power for the subwoofer. For the steering wheel connectors, we are going to use the same ground for the stereo as for the steering wheel connectors, and the other two will be connected to number 7 and number 8. Here you can see the drawing of the connectors, E41, E42, and 43. I get it from a service manual. Many people ask me where do I got the service manual. I just Google it or duck search for it, and you search for I don't know, the FJ Cruiser service manual, and it will bring you a tons of sites, and you have to filter them because many of those sites are a scam. So you have to go into one and another until you find the manual you are looking for. Also, electrical manuals will work for this, or I don't know, just test each of the pins. So now I'm soldering the main wires, or this is the ground, black one. I'm going to proceed to install the power. This is the red one, the accessory one. Everything according to the graphic I showed you before. You can pause it and see if you have a Toyota. If not, you will have to look for your own service manual. And again, in this first harness, you have all the connectors for powering and the speakers. Now let's move to E43. That is for the auxiliary input and also for the steering wheel controls. Again, like we said before, the first cable for the ground of the steering wheel controls will be attached to the stereo's ground, and then pin number 6 and number 7 and number 8 will be attached to the key 1 and key 2 cables. In many stereos, you can see these cables marked as SWG ground and SWC1, SWC2, but it is the same. And here you can see it. Pins 7 and 8 are interchangeables, or key and key 2 are interchangeable, so maybe you can just put it backwards and it doesn't matter. I'm going to use the original stereos bracket. Looks like it fits perfectly for this. Well, not perfectly, because I will have to make one of the holes a little bit bigger. But as you can see here, only one of the holes are corresponding. But if I make a little bit bigger this one, I will make it fit. To install the GPS antenna, I will use the inclination cluster, removing this plastic on the top, and it reveals these 2 screws. This is the ideal place to put it because it has a direct sight to the sky through the windshield, and it is covered by plastic, so you won't see it, and the plastic won't block the radio frequency used by the antenna from the satellites. Here is, if you pick it up, here is a direct hole already in the dashboard. You can use this to route the cable. I will just guide the antenna here, the cable, and put it here at the top. I need to open a hole in here too to route the cable. If you cannot find the specific pins of your car model, you can search for other models from the same brand, and all the stereo pins should be the same. Here's the harness I made. I'm connecting it to the FJ. Here's the cable of the antenna. I will have to somehow tie this cable. I'm going to put a zip tie. That should do it. I'm not mounting the USB port right now in the dashboard because I'm focusing in make it work with the steering wheel controls, because I could not find any site that explains you clearly how to connect it. Some sites tell you to buy a $100 device to connect the SWC1, SWC2, and you don't need it in here. And some others have some confusing instructions. So Toyota's has this configuration for the steering wheel controls that it has a network of resistors, and whenever you push a button in the steering wheel, it will give you a different resistance or ohms measurements, so it will know which of the button you press it. So this stereo can directly read those differences in resistance. But again, some other cars will need a CAN bus option for that, and you will need other boxes. But for Toyotas, and I believe Ford and Mazda, they don't need that. They use the very same network of resistors for this. These are the USB ports and my Wi-Fi antenna. I took it out from another device. So I'm going to plug everything in here. This is the radio antenna. Again, I don't use very much the radio. For some reason, I got my antenna stolen from one of my cars, and I never used the radio again. I'm that lazy. I don't know where to mount the Wi-Fi antenna. I will leave it just like that and attach it to some of the cables, and I will see how to put it later. The USB cables are just going to hang out from the front of the stereo. I'm going to install it properly in another video, but right now one of them is for a dash cam, so it won't be showing, and the other one I'm going to put a USB hub, so I can install games in here in this stereo. You will see it later, not in this video, and have the controls connected to the other USB inputs. So let's turn it on for the moment and see how it goes. See, it powers with the car's logo. I will show you how to do this. So let's power out the car and the stereo. Wait for it to start. It is loading something from the USB, I don't know what. Okay, let me turn off the music because I don't want to get a YouTube strike. Touch this gear. These are the settings for the stereo. There are another settings for the Android OS. This is for the stereo. And type the password. Here is in the manual. It is 8888. Oops, I made a mistake. Let me go back to the main menu. Go back to settings in here. And these 2 gears also. Click on the 2 gears and search for logo setting. Here is logo setting. Mine is a Toyota, so I will search for the Toyota, but there's tons of logos for other cars too. You just touch the one you want and that's it. Now you are all set up. That's it. Whenever you disconnect your stereo and power it again, it will show you the logo. Like in here. Here you can see the steering wheel buttons or switches, sig backward, sig forward, volume up, down, and mode. To configure this, let me get the stereo starting up. It was disconnected, so it has to start from the beginning. So here you have. To configure the steering wheel controls, you go to settings of the stereo, clicking the gear icon in the home screen, here one. Then scroll up until you see Enter SWC Setting Interface. Now the stereo asks you not to touch anything until it says so. Here it is. Now press which function you want to program in the steering wheel. Let's select back or previous, and the stereo asks you to press the button in the steering wheel that you want to bind to that function. It could be any button. Let's do the same for next. Volume up, volume down. This is for volume up. And the function of the home button will be in this switch for the mode in the steering wheel. The cool thing about this stereo is that you can use 2 functions in the same button. One is with a long press and another with a quick press. Here you can see answer the call with a quick touch of the mode switch, and to hang up the call, a quick touch of the previous or sig down switch. You can program any button to any function you like. It's not restricted in any way. Now I go home in the stereo, press the mode button, quick press, and it goes to the calls menu. If I make a long press, it goes back or to the home menu again. And like I said before, if you turn off the car and then turn it on again, the stereo powers on immediately because I haven't disconnected yet. I have connected a USB drive. Let's hear it. Sounds pretty good, much better than the Sony one. You can get out of the music app, but the music remains. That's good. Here I go to YouTube. I already configured the Wi-Fi, and so now the audio will go out once I start playing a video. That's fine. That's normal because YouTube needs the speakers to play the whatever the video has. Let me search for my channel here. Now let's check the GPS. GPS is responding to it is downloading the maps. Of course, maps are downloaded from the Wi-Fi, but note this: it has multi-touch. That is not present in early versions of these stereos. It has given me the position in here, so GPS is working. Pinch to zoom. Okay. It has a microphone. The microphone is embedded in the stereo. Now let's test the Bluetooth. So you go to your phone and search for car BT. No need to enter any password. Yes, I know that's insecure. And once you connect touch that part on your telephone, it will show in the screen of the stereo. So now you can just stream music or whatever is in your phone. You can stream it to the stereo. I noted later that it has some issues. If you go back to the music app, the Bluetooth is still selected, so I have to learn how to select the appropriate source. Now let's play some video to see how it goes. Very nice picture. It has a very nice picture and frame rate. I don't know how many frames, but it looks very good. And let me see if I can play something from the USB. Look at this. It says SD as a source, but it doesn't have an SD socket anywhere. I don't want to play something that will give me a strike on YouTube, so I just keep playing this. And if I go to the music app, I have the same problem. It wants to play the music on the video, the whole video. So I get back again, same problem. Go back, and now it fixed. I don't know why. Maybe I have to download another application and make it default somewhere. I will look for that later, not in the video, in this video again. Okay, so once I learn more about this and how to use it, I will make another video. Also, I will install the front camera, another subwoofer, and an amplifier, and some other things. So, as always, thank you very much for watching my videos and subscribing and commenting and everything, all the stuff. Thank you very much.